My name is Kai Mikatite, and I'm a second year here at the university studying marketing at the David Eccles School of Business. I'm very excited for this opportunity to be a part of Sales Summit, but even more excited to introduce the lovely Darlene Carter, whose outfit is on fleek today. Darlene Carter is CEO of CW Group. Darlene has 18 years of experience in commercial and residential real estate development. As CEO of CW Group, she oversees 4 company businesses: CW Urban, CW Land Corporation, Cole West Home, and Cole West Development. She's passionate about developing successful teams, brand awareness, and unique end user experiences. Please join me in welcoming Darlene Carter.
Hi guys, let's see, thank you for the introduction. You know, it's not very often that a 40-year-old mom gets to wear some sort of a pleather skirt, so I thought, why not? Let me just get a feel a little bit for who's in the room. So raise your hand if you're majoring in marketing. Okay, so what are the other, what are you going to school for? Operations. So everyone's in the business school. Well, I think the one thing that I've learned, so I started my undergrad in 1999. I moved from Illinois to Utah to go to school. And the one thing I've learned is that so many of the skills that I used when I was starting straight out of school are really still the same things that I'm doing today. They just have slightly different applications. So when they asked me to speak at this sales summit, I was kind of excited because I do a lot of talking about real estate development. And the truth is my background is in sales and marketing. That's how I started in my professional career. And so I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about our company and my own personal journey. So that's the intro. As Kai mentioned, this is our company. So does anybody live downtown? Has anybody seen one of our CW urban projects? So maybe you have, but we're residential real estate developers primarily, which what that means is that we create anything that has to do with where somebody lives, whether it's contacting a farmer and turning it into a community, or building apartments or homes or land development. And then we also dabble in retail. The reason why we have so many things up there is we're a vertically integrated company, which means that we control most of what we produce. So we're a development shop, we're an architecture and design shop. So if you see one of our buildings, the people in our building draw it. We actually build them ourselves. So we're a commercial general contractor. We're a home builder in northern and southern Utah. So if you're ever in St. George, you'll probably see some of our Cole West homes. Oh, I wanted to show a video that kind of highlights a little bit about what we do. We built this last year. Okay, I think you get the picture. We build housing, so we can probably, well, I'll just keep talking while it finishes up. But I think for me, what I wanted to talk about today is when I hear people talk about who they are and what they do, I'm generally more curious, like, how does their brain work, or how did they get to where they're going? So that's mostly of what I'm going to share today, and hopefully it's insightful and you guys can ask me some questions at the end. So one of the things that I really believe is that, like, what I just showed you is the output of kind of what we do. But what I know for sure is that our company, so the people that are inside of it, are the ones that make all those things happen. So our company tagline is "We build community." And my personal belief is that we build our people and our people build our projects. But today, what I really wanted to focus on, building people starts with you. And really, what can you do personally for yourself to try and get your trajectory for wherever you want to go? Because who believes that, like, the most powerful thing that's happening in your life is like what's between your ears? Like in your brain. It just is. It's how you view yourself, what you believe about yourself, what you believe is possible, what your limiting beliefs are. And that's just a big part of it. I thought it would be interesting to share with you a little bit about my work trajectory. So when I was I came out to school in 1999 to Utah State, and I just wanted to share with you a couple of the jobs that I had. I worked at a call center for 2 years, that when somebody didn't pay their phone bill at Sprint, they got routed to you, so they were pissed off, right? And then I worked at an at-risk youth treatment center when I was in college. Very challenging, very challenging. You know, these are kids that have had really hard lives, hard situations. They're living in a facility to help get them back on track. I was a waitress, you know. I can remember one time I literally had a family that the child puked on the floor and they kept eating. Like, that is humility, right? And then I worked in retail. So what do you think that all those jobs have in common? Yes, customer relations. And I am telling you, the things that I learned in that time when I was at college are still the tools that I'm using today running a billion-dollar company. They really, really are. So I graduate from college. I graduated with a public relations degree, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I just know that I like shopping. Well, and I wanted to make some money. So at the time, okay, this is like 1999, Abercrombie was cool, you know. And so Abercrombie had this thing where if you had a college degree, you could be a manager at Abercrombie. So I moved to Denver, and I managed a bunch of large stores. And when I worked there, their whole thing is get as many brand reps as possible. So the second role was like 200 kids that were working 2 to 4 to 6 hours a week. And it's like you're trying to move high schoolers to want to fold clothes. Like, they don't care. You know what I mean? So again, I'm trying to figure out how to get people to do something. And that's when I started realizing you can't make anybody do anything, right? Like, that's the tricky thing with sales. I can't sell you something. I can only figure out what's best for you and be the conduit for you to get there, right? So I started connecting the dots that it wasn't about me. Everything that I was doing was about the other person and helping them understand what their dissatisfaction was, what they needed, and then I was providing the solution for it. So that's when I started realizing not only do I need to help people get what they need to do, but I got to be a really good problem solver, which is probably outside of sales and communication, the second thing that I think is the most important thing in my job today. So I'm selling some clothes, and these girls come in, and they got more money than I do. And I'm like, what the heck are they doing? And they were selling real estate. So I got on a quick trajectory from 2005 now. I started working in home building. I started selling homes fast. I became the #1 agent in South Davis County. My business partner now, Colin Wright, started a company called Henry Walker Homes. I was one of his first hires. Then he said, hey, come out of the sales arena and start working on the operations side. And then everything just started rolling for me. So I worked in operations at some of the biggest home builders in the state. And then probably like 13 years into my career, I was like, I just don't know like what the future is, because I felt like I had kind of gone to the top of the ladder of where I was at, and I just didn't know what could be higher than that. I'll tell you, for a lot of women who are in sales and marketing, they hit this level of VP of sales and marketing, and then they don't move past it, and they don't necessarily know where to go from there. So I kind of took a step back and moved to the operations side of the business and said, hey, I want to do my own thing. Started a consulting company to work for home builders. At the time, my now current partner, Colin, he broke out on his own, hired me as a consultant, and then we connected back, and now we've been together for 7 years. But I think the point of this slide that I wanted to say is I'm telling you, the things that I did when I was 20 years old, having somebody scream at me on the phone because they wanted their phone to work and it didn't because they didn't pay their bills, me learning to listen to people, to let them talk, to find out how to help them. That's what I'm doing today, even when I'm raising money, trying to figure out a project, trying to attract talent to our company. They are the same skills. So I thought, since it is the sales summit, I just want to kind of highlight 5 characteristics that I think make somebody really great at sales. But again, to me, this translates to just being a great person. The first one, it's where so many people get tripped up. It's just to have a bias for action. Just start. So a lot of people, they've got a good idea, they want to say something, but they're like just in their head. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like that. Okay. How often when you feel like that do you just go anyway? Come on.
20% of it.
Yeah. Like you got to ramp that up to 100% of the time. One of my models is 80% right, 110% sure, which means I don't even care if I'm right, but what I do know is that by us moving towards something with conviction, we're going to figure it out along the way, right? I'm training right now a new division president of our home building team, and I just said to him, man, like you're wasting too much time on not making decisions. Right? We're just talking about things. You got to decide what we're going to do and start heading there, and we'll figure it out along the way. And I'll tell you another reason why this is really important. It's because when you start getting reps in that, when you start saying to yourself, hey, I'm not sure, I don't know, but you do it anyway, and then things start to work out, what does that build? Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm a mother to a 16-year-old daughter. I mean, outside of being loving and kind, there's only one thing that I care that she has, and that's confidence. That's a muscle that you have to exercise by doing it over and over. And I'm telling you, your success will be dependent on it. So the second thing is courage and vulnerability. It kind of goes with confidence. And the reason is, if somebody were to ask me, what is the gasoline of the car of courage? It's confidence, right? Like those things go together. You have to have enough confidence that you can do something hard and be vulnerable doing it. Does that make sense? It is the igniter to action along the way. Courage, right? And, you know, like you're like, I'm at the sales summit and somebody's talking about courage and vulnerability. But what I'm telling you is these are the things that really matter. You can do scripts, you can contact people, you can do whatever you want. But when you're in the moment, you have to believe that you can take the next step forward in whatever you're doing in life to get on the path that you want to get on. Make sense? Okay. Third, if somebody asked me when I was sitting in a model home and my whole paycheck was dependent on something, I would have said being resilient. So what does that mean to anybody in the room?
I mean, sales is hard. Like, you don't come home with a checklist to make the sale, so sometimes it can be discouraging. So I'd say that's the show up. Like, it's to keep showing up.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you want to be in sales, you got to get prepared to fail a lot. You got to get prepared to have things go bad a lot. You got to get prepared to emotionally not get on a roller coaster of this, right? I was in real estate. I was 23 at the time. You know, if I sold a home, I made $8,000. If they canceled the next day, I lost $8,000. That was a lot for my 23-year-old brain. It was like, I'm rich, right? This is the time I'm like, $2,500 would solve all my problems, you know? Or I have nothing. But all you have to do is keep showing up. Now, I put these things in an order that I think matter. Can I keep showing up if I don't have any courage? Can I keep showing up if I'm not going to do anything when I get there? Like, you got to show up, take another rep, be resilient, have that courage, and do something. And I promise you, sales is a game of numbers, that the more it's a funnel, right? The more you put out there, it comes down to the middle. So it's just about getting more reps, more leads, more leads, more leads. And the more you can put in the top is what's going to drip down the bottom. Okay. So this is probably my favorite book about being successful. I think that successful people are what I call the triple package. They have three things. One, they think they're better and smarter than everybody else. Raise your hand if there's parts of you that's like, yeah, I got it. Yeah, you got it. I see some swag in here. You got it, right? Yeah. Okay, raise your hand if equally to that, I got it, you're like, I do not got it. I do not got it. I am telling you, I am the CEO of our company, and I go in a circle every day between these guys would be screwed without me to like, I bring no value in this building. But that's a really powerful combo. Because what that means is that I have enough confidence to move forward, and I actually have enough humility to keep learning and moving forward and doing something. Does that make sense? So you gotta have both. So if somebody says to you, like, tone it down, do not tone it down. You gotta have that. You gotta have that to get out the door, right? You got to think, yeah, I'm looking around and I'm going to beat them, you know? But then it has to be coupled with some sort of humility that it's like, but I also know I have all these scars and I have an acute self-awareness of what I'm not great at. And so I'm going to get really good at those things too. And I'm going to find the people in my life who are going to make me better. And I'm going to put some scaffolding around where I'm not great. The third one is the one that most people are lacking, and I don't want to put a blanket statement on, I don't even know the taglines of millennials, whatever, because honestly, I don't give a crap. Like, I think there's talented and smart and cool people on every age, right? And so I don't care what the stereotypes are, but what I know for sure is there's no get rich quick. And what I find is a lot of times that people of any age, whether they're young, whether they're middle-aged and they didn't get where they want, or whether they're 60 and they've got regret, they come to somebody like me and they think, oh, you have these things, you know, I don't know what it is, house, car, watch, I don't know. And they're like, well, how did you get there? And it's like, well, impulse control. I sat in a model home for 6 years every day on a Saturday, right? I figured out between my husband and I how we were going to make childcare work so I could be a working mother. I've worked 60 hours a week, probably for almost 20 years. And even now that I'm the CEO, I hesitate to say this because I don't think it's the best thing, but I don't think there's one person in that building who outworks me. There's just not. Because what I know is that whatever hard work I'm putting in today is going to show up later. And that's what impulse control is. It means I've got to do the hard thing now. Especially as you're out looking for jobs, what I find is that people get into a job and then like 1 or 2 years later, they're like, oh, I learned everything there is to know. It's like I've got a little 10-year-old boy. He's like, I don't need to go to school anymore. I was like, well, tell me more about that, Abe. Why do you think you don't need to go to school? He's like, because I already know everything. You know? It's like, well, you don't. You know what I mean? But what I'm trying to teach him is that, like, you have to do hard things today, and they will show up later in your life. It was honestly, I think I was 40 years old before I ever made more than $1 million in a year. So it took me, I don't know, almost 15 to 20 years to get there. And then now I have a great balance sheet that's worth a lot of money. But there are all these little seeds that I planted along the way. And what I'm telling you is stay in it. Stay in it. Whatever you're doing, learn more, stay in it, figure out how you can get more reps, figure out how you can learn more from somebody, because the fruits just don't drop as quick as you think.
You said you are probably outwork everyone in the office. What does that entail as the CEO? Like, what is like that really hard work? Is it just putting in the hours? I mean, like, what is that hard work? What does that mean?
I think that, I'm a big fan of Good to Great. It's some people think it's a cheesy business book. I think it's awesome. But it talks about being a level 5 leader. And I don't really care how many hours people put in, because some people work a lot and don't do a lot, and some people work a little and don't do much. I will tell you, hours are a big component of success. I haven't figured out how to shortcut it, but there's a couple of things that I think make me a little different. And I think I'm really driving towards some of those level 5 leaders characteristics. One is like a laser focus on what our company mission is. So like when I'm in it, I'm in it. I think courage to do what is right, always picking the right thing over the easy thing. I think leading the way, having humility. But I mean, it's really just about being as productive and focused and thoughtful as possible when you are there, because there's a lot of people who are just there. They're 30% there, they're 50% there, they're 70% there. But when you can fully engage in something, that is really, for me, where the magic of my life has been created. Last one I just wanted to talk about was a connected purpose. I don't know anybody who can compel themselves forward without really being connected to what they're doing. And so for me, like they say, oh, find something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Like, that's kind of BS, it just is. But what I will say is, like, you got to get connected to your own mission. My mission was to change people's lives, starting with my own, to have it affect my family and friends and community. And so, like, that is what pulls me through sometimes when it's like, well, I've been in this chair for 12 to 14 hours. The second thing is just habits. Like, you cannot motivate yourself to greatness every day. Like, that's just impossible. But what you can do is create habits So it's like, I know what this day looks like. My body and my brain knows what it looks like, so I can just replicate it to move forward. Anyway, that's all I had to share, but hopefully I gave you some nuggets. I just wanted to say too, if you want to contact me personally, I do think a lot of people who start out in sales and marketing, they don't really know where their career is going to go. That was the basis of what I did. And if you look at our company, I think we do it better than anybody else. We tell our story better than anybody else, whether it's to capital partners, the way we brand our buildings, the way we market our buildings. And that's because of my background in sales and marketing. And I just think it's really important. So I'm saying, don't think like, hey, I'm in sales, I'm in marketing or whatever. You could be running a real estate development company in 20 years. I don't know what you are going to do with it. I just know that if you open your mind to something, it could be whatever you want. But these skills of how to connect with people, they're really the intangibles of life that is like you either got it or you don't, and they're going to help you, My contact information, if you want to email me, I always respond within 24 hours or less. It's darlene@builtbycw.com. I'm on Instagram. I think it's called Miss Darlene and Carter. You can check out our company, CW Group, anything. But if you want to spend an hour in our office, come have lunch with me, come pick my brain. I'm always open to that. So they said I have 60 seconds left. So does anybody have a question for me?
You talked about your own mission. What is CW's overarching mission?
I think it is we build community, and it starts with our people. So my goal is that the people that work for us have a sustainable and generous lifestyle. They find purpose in what they do. They interact with their peers. They build community amongst themselves. And then ultimately they build community in the state of Utah.
How do you decide whether or not to go like single-family development or multiple development?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, we look at deals, we probably look at 10 to 20 deals a week, and we look at each piece of ground. And, that was where sales was a big advantage to me because I had so many reps of understanding the market and what people were saying. So I just am a student of the market. So we look at a piece of land and say, hey, what does the market need? What's the underserved market? What's the demand? And what would make economic sense? And you get really quick at it. I mean, you'll know in a couple of minutes once you just see enough reps. That's probably it, but one more.
What's a really big make or break decision you've made where you didn't know if you made the right one, but your instinct rebelled?
Who I've gotten into business with, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I've made some of the best decisions on who I aligned myself with as a company, especially as a female. I've been really fortunate enough to always be in business with males who believed in me at sometimes more than I believed in myself. And they continued to, I tell our people in our office, if you want more opportunity, kill it at your current role. So just every opportunity I ever got, I just gobbled it up and asked for more, and they just continued to lay bricks in front of me. But I also am aware that there's a lot of company and people that doesn't happen. And if you find yourself in a place like that, that's the number one reason why I would eject myself. Okay, you guys are awesome. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Darlene.